Let's look at assertions about financial statement. ASA 315 splits the assertion into three categories: classes of transaction and event, account balance, presentation and disclosure. Assertions about classes of transaction and event. Occurrence, whether transaction actually occurred during the accounting period. In other words, did the transaction really happen? Completeness, whether all transactions that should have been included are in fact included. In simple terms, is that included in all transactions? Accuracy, whether transactions have been recorded at correct dollar amount. Cutoff, whether transactions are recorded in the correct accounting period. Classification, whether transactions have been recorded in the correct journal accounts, or are we using correct journal accounts? Let's talk about assertion about account balances. Assertions about account balances introduced in ASA 315.A128. These apply to the balance sheet item, for example, asset, liability, and equity. Existence, whether assets, liability, and equity items actually exist at balance date. Completeness, the assertion is that all reported asset, liability, and equity balances have been fully reported. Valuation and allocation, whether asset, liability, and equity interests have been included at appropriate amount. Rights and obligations, whether the assets are the rights of the entity and whether the liabilities are the obligation of the entity. Occurrence and existence are similar meaning, but we use different terms. For transaction, auditor consider whether transactions actually happen. For balance, auditor consider whether assets, liability, or equity actually exist. Valuation and allocation is one assertion. It can never separate, but the meaning of valuation is similar with accuracy. They both about dollar amounts. We use different terms because the value of assets, liabilities, or equity are not simple as the purchase price or selling price like we use in transaction. Let me explain an example. The valuation of an asset may include the purchase, setup cost, and depreciation. The valuation of this asset may differ because the company used different depreciation method. So that's why we said we calculate the value of balance items rather than checking the amount of transaction in accuracy. Allocation is similar in nature with classification. Allocation means are we recorded at the correct type, such as are our assets are current or non-current assets, or are our liabilities are current or non-current liabilities. This is all similar assertions about transaction and balance items. This is all assertions about transaction and balance items.
Created using Powtoon.